Hello, this is the trade site US Stocks and Futures. No, it isn't. It's the Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap. Let's be honest, for the week beginning Sunday the 23rd and ending Friday the 28th of September 2018, I'm going to end this with my favorite part. Everything I love to hear in the year is coming up at the very end of this presentation, so stick up till the end. So here it is. This is the end of the quarter. September ends on Friday. We've got Saturday the 29th, Sunday the 30th, and the following Monday is October 1st, and we are into, believe it or not, holiday season. Check your local Sam's Club. There are holiday gifts out already. Here's the dollar index daily chart. Dipped a little this week, but nothing's really changed. We've been sitting here for 5 months. We did get some action the last 2 days. If we continue to get a couple days a week like that, I'm going to go back to full size. The summer doldrums may be almost over, but let's see what happens. Let's go through the daily charts of the major indices, then we'll look at the intraday action for the week on 30-minute candles, then we'll look at the data coming out in the week ahead, and then we'll talk about the thing I care about the most. So here's the euro dollar, the inverse of the dollar index. There's really not much to say there. Here's the pound dollar. Came up most of the week, then slipped back on Friday. We had a couple of really nice winners, getting back to the best winners individual trade-wise that we've had in a while. The Aussie dollar rallied all week a little bit. The euro yen rallied all week a little bit. Notice that while they don't look like big moves, they're still better 5-day moves than we've seen in a while. Here's the pound yen, same thing. Pound Swiss tanked on Friday. New Zealand dollar. It feels like something's happening, right? And it's interesting because we got some signals in the stock markets that may suggest something's happening there. So is that translating over here where we're starting to get some moves in the dollar? Here's a look at the euro dollar for the week. And, you know, high to low for the week is only 180 pips. That's not much better than we saw last week, but we did get a decent clean breakout on Thursday. And that was the only real day of the week. The pound, on the other hand, had a much better range, 240, 50 pips for the week. We had a good move up on Thursday, a good move back on Friday. That's what we like to see in the Forex market, and that's what makes us money, and we did do really well. A couple of big winners for the week. So it is what it is, but if there's signs of life, we won't say anything until we actually get a little more than just 2 days. I'm not going to bank my life on that. Let's go through the economic data. This is a week of bank holidays and rate announcements, and the other thing I really like to see. So here's Japan and China on bank holiday to start the week. German IFO business climate going into Monday. FPC statement out of the UK. CBI industrial order expectations out of the UK. Canada's got their wholesale sales. Europe, Belgium business climate. Monetary policy meeting minutes out of Japan, and their SPPI. German WPI, housing price index out of the U.S. here Tuesday. It's the first U.S. number is on Tuesday. S&P composite housing price index. Consumer confidence here, Richmond manufacturing index. New Zealand goes to trade balance and business confidence. Bank of Japan's core CPI. We've got Credit Suisse economic expectations out of Switzerland. High Street lending out of the UK. CBI realized sales out of the UK. S&P quarterly bulletin out of Switzerland. CB leading index out of China. Here in the U.S., new home sales at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Crude oil inventories at 10:30, but here's the thing. It's a 2-day Fed meeting that started on Tuesday. The announcement is at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, and then the press conference is at 2:30, and then New Zealand has their rate announcement at 5 p.m. On Wednesday. So we've got a couple of rate announcements for the week. Going into Thursday, German consumer climate and preliminary CPI, money supply out of Europe, private loans out of Europe, Italian 10-year bond auction. U.S. on Thursday has durable goods, final GDPs. That's the third look. It doesn't really matter at GDP for the second quarter. Goods trade balance, wholesale inventories, and the weekly initial and continuing jobless claims numbers. That's not a big deal. Pending home sales 30 minutes into the stock market, and natty gas an hour in. Building consents out of New Zealand, consumer confidence out of the UK. We've got the unemployment rate and CPI out of Tokyo. Out of Japan, and then the preliminary industrial production out of Japan with retail sales. Private sector credit out of Australia. Going into Friday, housing starts out of Japan, nationwide HPI, French consumer spending and preliminary CPI number. German unemployment change, Spanish flash CPI, current account out of the UK, final GDP out of the UK, CPI flash estimate out of the Europe. And then GDP and MPI and IPPI out of Canada, along with price index, personal income and spending here in the U.S., Chicago PMI here in the U.S., revised University of Michigan sentiment here in the U.S. And here's the thing I love to see. the beginning of the start of daylight savings time around the world. Granted, it's only New Zealand, but that's it. We're now going into daylight savings times where everything shifts back here in the U.S. It's a better time of year for me. I like it better. I prefer it. We're still a couple weeks off from getting it here in the U.S., but it's the start when you start to see it in New Zealand. That's very exciting. Manufacturing PMI numbers out of China also going into this on Saturday, strangely. So there's some big numbers. None of the Fed announcements, the only one that we really have to worry about. None of our other big three, but still, there's a lot of data. So we'll go off of that. Maybe that means better ranges. If I start to see better ranges, I'll push us to full size in the trade calls that I post. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple of weeks. Have a great trading week.